Check. 1, 2, 3.
The
Brief.
This is the Debrief.
Go. Your guide to Detroit.
Your guide to Detroit's
arts and entertainment scene.
This is the
Brief.
Welcome to the Debrief. I'm your co-host. My name is Seth Ressler.
I'm Becky Scarcello.
And I'm Jag.
And look, we are vacationing this week. We're out, but we didn't want to leave you totally empty-handed, so we've got a short episode for you here today.
We do promise no bare feet on the beach pictures on our Instagram,
No.
What is that, where Jesus carried you? What is that?
No,
That's what everybody does. Like, when they're on vacation,
yes,
they put
or they have
feet.
like a picture of them holding a beer and their toes in the sand.
Oh, that's a Corona commercial, guys.
Well, that's what people still do on
Seth
their Instagram.
Seth, we still trying to teach Seth how to use Instagram.
He doesn't Instagram well.
I don't.
No,
He's
he
not
really
down with the
doesn't.
gram.
No.
All right. Becky, you got a chance to talk to the folks over at the DIY Street Art Fair, right?
I did. So Krista Johnston, who happens to also be a friend of mine, is the co-producer and artistic director of the DIY Street Fair. And it happens this weekend, September 21st through the 23rd, east of Woodward on 9 Mile. You can find out all the information, FerndaleDIY.com, including that ever-elusive parking information for downtown. So ride your bike, take an Uber, or look up the parking
or bird
info.
or lime.
The cool thing is this has been named Metro Times Best Art Fair. So you'll see why after we get into the interview. So I talked to Krista Johnston about what the street fair is all about.
The DIY Street Fair celebrates those with the do-it-yourself spirit. It's everyone that, from musicians to the visual artists, food trucks, Kid Zone, people who really are independent thinkers who have a business really and vision of their own.
I went to this last year. I got my niece a T-shirt from here, and
okay.
it was like a Little Miss. You remember those Mr. books? And
I
Little
have
Miss
one of
books
those, Little Miss Detroit. I
yeah,
have
and
one.
the Mr. Yeah, it was Little Miss Detroit, and on the turntables.
Yes, that's the one I have.
That's the one I got her. Yeah,
that's the one I
love
wear.
that shirt.
Yeah, there's so many cool things there, but what I really love is the history of why they did this fair in the first place.
This is the 11th year. We started in 2008. Really, in 2008, the economy was taking a dive, and a lot of our friends were losing their jobs, and they were selling their artwork on the side, really to make ends meet. And we decided to build a festival around that. We knew so many artists and musicians, and we decided to showcase their work and their talent. It started off as a backyard party, and it just grew from there. It really had this wonderful, genuine feel of almost for a higher purpose. It was showcasing art. It was showcasing talent. Those with this unique, passionate vision. I think that it makes the event really special. It has this background of championing the little guy.
It's just so fascinating to me when somebody has this idea, like, how can I help out my friends and do something cool, and just starts literally in a backyard.
Well, especially back then when there were a lot of times when people were on hard times.
Exactly.
2008, yeah.
And so now this has grown. This is a fair that 75,000 people attend over this 3 days. So that's huge. And you've got everything, the music, the art, the food and drink. And it goes late too, which I think is a cool thing. It goes till midnight, Friday, Saturday, 11 p.m. on Sunday. So you have a lot of time, and the artist booths are open that whole time. So you have really a lot of time to soak this all in and contribute to it. And it's free as well. So I asked Krista, to me, this is a perfect place for it, Ferndale.
Sure.
I spend a lot of time in Ferndale. I know you guys too. And so I asked her, what was the origin of that, and why is this the perfect place for it?
Those of us who started it, myself and my partners, we own Woodward Avenue Brewers and the Emery and the Loving Touch in Ferndale. And so we made it in our backyard. We love Ferndale. We are big fans of everything here. We just figured this would be the perfect setting to show off everything that Ferndale especially has to offer. And it blossomed into the Metro Detroit area, and artists come from all over Michigan. And so this is our hometown. This is our backyard.
So she did it in Ferndale because she already owned half of Ferndale. She might as well.
Yeah, it all works well. But the personality too. And so I asked her just to highlight one or two of the artists.
One of our great artists, Chris Gorski, he owns Detroit GT. And back in 2008, he lost his job at an advertising agency. He was doing his graphic design on the side, and he, after he lost his job, made that into his business. His passion became his business. He did the DIY street fair. It exploded from there, and that's what he does full time. So it's been a great hotbed of people testing their art too, and then it has become their business. We've heard that story a bunch of times from different artists as well.
I think that is one of the most inspiring things, to know that you've helped someone kind of launch that career and advance it.
Well, and it's like you said, this was 2008. This was when people, are down on hard times. And
Especially here.
Yeah.
And pretty intrinsic to the whole start of the Detroit maker culture, which is now everywhere, people doing their thing, and it's a great environment for it. I asked Krista about, how many returning artists, because some of the art fairs you go to, it's like if you do return, you see the same things every year. And I knew the DIY is not like that, but I asked her kind of to tell me how many new, how many returning.
We do reserve a couple of spots for brand new artists who have never done an art fair before. I love giving those brand new artists a chance. You can kind of tell that they're green. They're still starting out, but they've got it. Like, they've almost got it, and they're going to get it a little bit more with experience. It's kind of like, how do you get the experience until you get the experience? We like giving new artists a chance. So there's a handful of those always. We always leave a big chunk of our visual artists. We have 150 this year that have not participated in DIY in the past. So it's not the same art fair every year. The fair goer will come and they'll see their old favorites for sure, but they'll also see this year 45 new artists out of the 150. So we usually have between 30 to 40% of new artists.
That's a good percentage.
Yeah,
like a third of them.
And the coolest thing is, my niece is one of them this year.
Nice.
Yeah, her name's Nicole Miskovich, and she is an artist here in Detroit, and it'll be her first time at DIY, and she is so excited that she got in.
What kind of art does she do?
She does illustration, and she also has a lot of pieces of goods that she puts things on, like Christmas ornaments and bookmarks and different paper goods. And she does I'll put a picture up on our Instagram, but she does very thoughtful, very emotive pictures of people, particularly young girls and animals. So it evokes a lot of emotion, a lot of fairy tale influence. So she'll be there. I'll be helping her with her booth. And it's a great way to see an eclectic mix. And if you go, you can actually get 2 art fairs that weekend in Ferndale. So I asked Krista about the one that's happening on the other side of Woodward.
In Ferndale that weekend, it's really great because the Funky Ferndale Art Fair is on the west side of Woodward, right at 9 Mile, and we're on the east side of Woodward. So the Funky Ferndale Art Fair is a great event. They are more of a fine art event. We work in cooperation with each other. It's just a nice collaboration where if you go to one side, you check out all the fine art, and you cross the street, and ours is a little bit more edgy, a little weird. We celebrate the weirdos at our event. So people are constantly crossing the street, and Ferndale just is it's a great weekend for artists in Ferndale.
Yeah, I think that speaks to my niece's work too. Like, you might look at it and say it's a typical fairy tale, but then when you look closer, there's a dark twist to it. There's some creepiness. There's something not quite of this world. So I think Krista told me a bunch of other artists too, and I think that's awesome, to celebrate the weird and have a place for that, and just, color and shape and sound and food and drink. It's a great time in Ferndale. So again, check that out. It's September 21st to the 23rd, east of Woodward at 9 Mile, and the website is ferndalediy.com.
All right, that's it for us this week. Like we said, it's going to be a short episode. We will be back next week. Until then, Detroit's moving. Keep up.
The D Brief.
Your guide to Detroit's arts and entertainment scene.